Hello and welcome back to what is a gorgeous April evening. I think it's the 24th and it's about 5:45 in the evening and it's been a beautiful day. I've got loads done. Even though it's quite windy, I apologise if this video is a little bit blustery, but the flowers are in bloom. We've got tulips, we've got lots of blossom, all of this honesty. You're in for a treat in this episode because there's quite a few blooms. The plot is looking really nice and I've just been sowing lots of seeds and getting ready for the big rush of spring and summer. April's actually been really quite dry and mild. We haven't had too many frosts and to be honest with you, we could actually do with a little bit of rain. We haven't had rain in quite a few weeks now, like a decent downpour. So everything's starting to look quite dry. I've actually been watering my pots because these have been drying out quite quickly. So yeah, I mean, supposedly April was meant to be the month of April showers, but we haven't had that this year. So let's see what the rest of the season brings. And oh look, the blue tits are back. They're definitely nesting in the nest box, by the way. I saw them about an hour ago popping in, and I think they're at the point now where the female might be laying or is sat on eggs, because I keep seeing what I assume is the male popping in and out, and I think he's given her food. Well, it's a gorgeous evening and I don't want to miss this beautiful sunshine. We're approaching golden hour, so I think we should start the April plot tour. Stepping through my gate, and what do we see? First of all, my climbing rose, the generous gardener, which I didn't actually prune too hard, but it's putting on lots of gorgeous new growth, lots of young shoots, and some rosebuds are already appearing. It's been so mild, everything's just shot into growth this month. And the most dominating feature of this month is the honesty, this white frothy flower that's all over the plot, and it just sort of ties it all together. And I do rather love it, although it's a little bit vigorous. As I found out, the roots are really chunky. I think I mentioned this before, but I have had to rip a few of the plants out just to give room for other things below it, such as the roses that I planted here last year. This is the Mary Rose after my grandma, and also some peonies. And I planted these last year. These were actually taken from my grandmother's garden after she passed away, and I've put them here, and I have spotted some buds on some of them. I'm not sure if this one's got it yet, but if I go to the one further down, yeah, this one's got some tiny buds right down in the centre there, but lots of happy growth, which is brilliant because you never quite know when you move something if it's going to enjoy its new position. Down in the pond, the wildlife pond, well, not much to see except, on the subject of grandma, her water lily is putting some buds up, and I did actually see a newt in here earlier, so it's good to know that it's still attracting the wildlife. I don't see too many frogs nowadays, but I did also find some evidence of a cat, shall we say, and I think that the cats patrol around here quite often, so hopefully they don't go fishing in my pond for, you know, the frogs. But yeah, that's how the pond area is looking. Ooh. And let's walk down. And this bed's looking a little bit weedy. There's a few parsnips in there that I haven't harvested, that I missed. Look at this enormous foxglove. That's going to be huge. I absolutely adore my foxgloves. Oh, it's like a double stemmer, or two plants to make one big one. And in this pot we've got my blueberry, and I hope we're going to get a really good crop this year because it's absolutely covered in berries. I can't remember which variety this one is. I now have 3 blueberry plants, so I'm hoping for more than a handful this year. Look at all those. I'm just going to step down here and show you the honesty view from the other side, and the statue that's a little bit creepy, but I still don't mind her from Grandma's garden. And in this pot I have an apple tree. It's a dwarf apple tree on dwarf rootstock, so it doesn't get very tall at all. And I actually won it in a competition 1 or 2 years ago, and this year it's decided to flower. I think it's one of those that has bright pink flesh, if I remember rightly. If I remember the name, I'll pop it in a caption. Oh, it looks like I'm going to feature quite a bit in this one. My strawberry cages, well, the plants are putting on lots of growth, as is the bindweed and the other nemesis weeds in here. Ground elder, that's the one. But I usually get a very good crop of strawberries thanks to my little cage system. Stops the birds from nabbing them. So might get some flowers next month in there. Just look at that apple tree. It's one of my favourite trees to bloom here. That blossom is just absolutely beautiful. Oh, and in my little bird bath, I've actually mixed it up a little, because before this it had a mixture of different alpines in it, and they were kind of struggling. It was very compact and they weren't really thriving, so I decided to mix it up and just put one plant in there. So it's called Delosperma. It's quite an alpine, succulent-y plant. It doesn't mind dry, gravelly conditions, and so this bird bath, it does have a leak, which is why I put plants in it instead of water, and they do quite well, so hopefully this one will thrive. And it will gently sort of spread out and spill over the side is the plan. And it's also really easy to take cuttings from this plant. You just take a bit off and lay it on the surface and hopefully should root. And to finish it all off, I put this decorative shell topping on top of the surface of the soil. It will help stop it from drying out too quick, because this bird bath is only very, very shallow, and just gives it a nice little finish. Down at the end of the walkway of forget-me-nots, we've got a red currant, and I bought this last year, but I didn't actually plant it until about a month ago. And I've decided to make use of my third patch of strawberries. This one I don't generally net or cover. I'm not too fussed if the birds get to these, because I usually get quite a few strawberries, but it's covered in little tiny flowers and buds, so I'm hoping to get a good crop of red currants from this one, because I really do love my homegrown fruits. I think they taste so much better than what you get from the supermarket. And under the apple tree, all of my autumn fruiting raspberries have put on phenomenal growth since last month's video. All along this stretch, got my mix of Joan Jay and the Awesome Bliss, is it? The yellow one, I can't remember, all gold, one of the two. I do actually have another currant bush underneath the apple tree. It doesn't fruit prolifically, but it doesn't mind if you plant it in a part shady spot. Now let's have a look at the tree in all its magnificence. It's so early this year, I'm sure. I must have a look at last year's tour, because I'm sure that the apple tree is blooming a few weeks early this year. I'm sure it was May last year when it was all out. But yeah, it's putting on all of its blooms, and they smell so nice. Do give apple blossom a smell if you have some. Just look at all these apples to come. Fingers crossed we don't have a late frost, otherwise we won't get any apples. But the forecast looks good. This is how it looks if you sit underneath the apple tree. We've got the hellebores that are gradually fading, some more daffodils that are still hanging on, the cheerfulness narcissus, some flag tulips, and more tulips. Oh, and what have we got down here? The wild garlic is now going to flower. You can eat these. Should I try it? Let's give it a go. Can't see any bugs on it. Ooh. Let's give it a go. Wow, quite strong. Oh God. Maybe I should have actually had one or two, not the whole bunch. Gonna have fantastic breath for the rest of the afternoon, aren't I? And next to the wild garlic flowers, we've got the Panorama that's also blooming. This is a gorgeous foliage plant that's great for shady areas and has a flower that's quite similar to forget-me-not. And all is not lost with the rhubarb. I do have my Timperley early still going strong, and I've harvested some of the stems already. Oh yeah, and I've planted up my ornamental sort of willow tree and put some forget-me-nots down there on the bottom just to sort of soften that edge up. And so let's step down to my favourite little corner. Still quite green and lush at the minute. There's going to be so many blooms in here soon, such as the lupins. Look at that straight in front. All of those leaves. I hope I get as many flowers as I did last year from that. There's more of the Brunnera, Jack Frost. Oh look down here, what's hiding? Pulmonaria, another one for great foliage. Love that spotted leaf. And the flowers that the bees absolutely love. Ooh, look down there. That's the alliums about to bloom. Oh, hello. You're a little bit earlier than that one. I've planted out my Munstead wood rose bush that was bare root. It was in a pot, and I'm hoping that this is going to recover, but I think I may have caused a bit of root damage when I took it out of the pot, so it suddenly flopped, and I've given it a really good watering, so hopefully it will put back up again. But that's now at the side of my carrot bed, so that as I walk past it I can enjoy its fragrance. Also down here we've got the first tulips. Absolutely love these with that crinkly petal. Can't remember the name, but it's a gorgeous colour. This daffodil as well, I don't remember what you are either. I remember buying you very cheap, but what's your name? A huge disc in the centre. So I've actually lined up all of my pots just in front of the carrot bed so that I can enjoy them all together when they bloom. But these ones are just coming up as well, and I'm so pleased that these little violas have come back, because when I planted them out they weren't too happy. They sort of struggled when I had them as plugs in the polytunnel. And this one also just coming up, but most of my tulips are quite late. They must all be late varieties. I know that the parrots do bloom a lot later than the others, but when all these come up, how about that? That's going to be quite a picture. There is so much honesty in this bed. It's where my dahlias are as well, and I'm just a bit worried they might get a little bit invasive, so I might have to take them out, because the tubers like a lot of room to grow. At the bottom end of the allotment, my Gingo Tree. Look, look, look. My favourite little tree is putting out its first leaves. Oh, they're so cute. Now, forgive me if I've shown you this before, but this little tree, little pine tree, was only a little stick. I kid you not, it's about a 4-inch stick that I got as a little side Christmas present from my boyfriend, probably about 5 years ago, and we potted it up, and look at it now. I had no idea it would survive. It's got a bit of a bare back, but it's got new little shoots coming, so that should fill in. Oh, I'm just so chuffed with how it's looking. Love it. So zesty at the minute with all that new foliage. Oh, tulips, tulips, you tease me. Not long now. I haven't sown any carrots yet because I need to get some nematodes to treat the carrot fly that are probably in there. Had a bit of a bad year last year because I couldn't net them in time. And look at all this fennel. I hate the stuff. Don't like to eat it, I don't like the smell, but it's an amazing foliage plant. And last year, do you remember was it grasshoppers or crickets? I think it was crickets. They absolutely loved this. They were all over it, and that foliage is just so lovely and soft. I just grow it on the corner of this growing bed because I like putting ornamentals at the corners. Over in the garlic bed, I really should have net this, but I didn't, and it's probably a bit late now for the allium leaf miner, but they're not looking too bad. They're looking all right. I've only got a few varieties in here this year. Up there, the spinach, perpetual spinach, that's just about to go to seed. You can tell because it's got really tall really suddenly. And if I have a close look, there we are, that's where the seed head is going to come up. And these ones here are just about to flower. So I'll probably wait a little while, let them flower, let the pollinators enjoy them for a while until I need the bed. And then I will take them out because these plants will be done and the leaves won't taste as good anymore. Oh, and whilst we're over here, I bought some bare root whips. Those yellow sticks there, that is a type of willow that is good for basket weaving, and I planted these with the intention of just filling that back space because it's quite a dry area. It's quite tricky with the hedge, creates a lot of shade. So the idea is that it will be great for cutting back each year, coppicing, and using the stems for creating, you know, different sort of structures on the allotment. Yes, but I do also like willow because it does have a lovely leaf, and willow is also fantastic for the wildlife. Well, I don't often do a little panorama spin from this side. So here we are, that's how the plot's looking from here. And what's that we've got? Pots of potatoes. Potatoes are in, or at least most of them. I've planted the Charlottes and the Caras, and the smaller pots are Colleen, which is a first early variety. Well, I'm inside the polytunnel and it's a bit of a mess, but we've got lots of things growing, and my pepper plants and chilies that I recently just repotted, but they won't be spending the night here because it's still a little bit too cold at night. And that's what's really bothering me at the minute, is that the temperatures are fluctuating so much inside the polytunnel. We'll have warm days where the air temperature's about 15 sort of degrees, maybe even warmer some days, which means inside the tunnel, well, let me check the thermometer. The highs are reaching about 41 degrees. And I mean, it probably doesn't last that for very long, but it's going from 41 in the day to about 5 at night. And we've still got some nights on the forecast they're going to dip to 2, 3, which is not good for chilies. They want it at least sort of above 7, 8. So yeah, it's just a bit too cold for them. Cold weather's just going to stunt their growth, slow them down, and you know, you could even get a frost still until the second week of May is the end of my last frost date. So yes, they need to come back home, which is a shame because they're starting to get a little bit leggy. My little lime is putting on lots of new growth. Look at those little shoots. And I did spot somewhere, oh look, there we are. We've got some flower buds. So hopefully I'll get some lemons come summertime. I mean limes. So what do we have on this seed tray? These 2 rows are calendula, that's a peachy coloured variety. We've got some grass, this is my Panicum elegans frosted explosion. Then we've got some coriander and the lettuce, which is yet to come up, which is a bit worrying. And some sweet peas, I was a bit late sowing them this year. And the germination rate's a bit sporadic. I've tried using these root trainers that I've not used before, so I'm not sure if it's down to them, but yeah, not too many sweet peas, but we'll see how they go. Oh yeah, the peppers. I do have a separate video coming soon on all the varieties of peppers and chilies that I'm growing this year. This tray here has some beetroot in it, bull's blood and Moulin Rouge that are just starting to come up. I think this is actually one of Charles Dowding's trays that he sells. I haven't had much luck with them before, so hopefully this time I'll have some better results. And in here we've got some broad beans that are ready to go out, and also some peas. down at the back, my little fig tree that I had to hard prune last year is covered in leaves. So I'm just so pleased that it made a recovery from the frost damage last year, and it's still doing well for me. So who knows, maybe I might have some figs soon. And that's the other fig plant. My dahlias, most of my dahlias are mulched in the ground, but there were a few that I lifted from the pots. And then we've got more empty cell trays with some straw flowers, 3 different varieties of straw flower, and more peas. Again, even more peas. This one's Kelvedon Wonder. I'm also growing the telegraph pole again, pea, which grows really tall. Hello. I kind of staggered the sowings with these. And in here we've got some begonias, a canna, and another begonia there. Oh, looks like the canna's just coming. And down here, more empty trays. I've just sown these cosmos seashells, my absolute favourite cosmos. Some lettuce, more straw flowers, sunflowers, spinach and courgettes. Really? That's quite a small cell tray for courgette. I'll be potting them on soon when they appear. And over on this side we've got more cosmos. Cosmos are sort of my backup plan. I mean, I love them anyway and I'll grow them all the time, but if my dahlias don't make it, the ones that I mulched, I've got loads of cosmos to fill the gap. So I've got Sensation Mix and Cups and Saucer, and that's the one with a really open sort of single petal flower. And then down here we've got some nasturtium. These are called Purple Emperor. I've not grown a pink purpley one before. And then under here we've got my cucumbers, Early Fortune and the Achocha. Quite a few cucumbers. I think I'll be giving away some of these. I've just kept this cover over them so they don't get too cold at night, just so they've still got enough airflow, but a bit of protection from the cold. My tomatoes, you may be wondering, they're still at home because they're only little babies. I only sowed them a few weeks ago, so I'm keeping them at home until the weather gets warmer at night time, and also it means I don't have to squish them in the tunnel. But yeah, it's still too cold at night at the time being. And yeah, I've just done a lot more staggered sowings this year and delayed it a little bit because of the cooler nights and because my chili peppers are taking up so much space. So yeah, a bit later on my sowing this year, but it really doesn't matter at all. If you haven't sown much, you know, there's still so much time. Don't get in a panic, don't compare yourself to what everyone else is doing, because, you know, just throw it in and it'll thrive now because the days are getting longer, they're much warmer, and the conditions are just right for seed sowing. How cute is this little patch underneath the dahlia beds? Got lots of little forget-me-nots in that little triangle, which is next to the pathway, but because I don't tread there, they don't get disturbed. But the cheerfulness daffodils, they're just fading now, just about to go over. And it won't be long now until I actually have to move away some of that wood chip to make way for the dahlias, because they'll be hopefully emerging, and I don't want to make it too much of a struggle with all that wood chip on top of them. Oh, that forget-me-not. I mean, that, what's it called? Foxglove is going to be quite a statement on there. On top of the mound, right up at the top, I've got a cherry tree that's just finished flowering. Hopefully I get lots of cherries this year. If I beat the birds to it, that is. I don't really bother to net them much. But we did have a frost a few weeks ago when they were in bloom, but hopefully we've still got quite a few buds on there. And the Nottingham Meddlers also got loads of buds on it. They're a lot fatter this month. Won't be long until they're blooming as well, and I really hope I get to try one this year. I only put this in the ground last year, so it's still settling in really, but it's looking pretty happy. And then behind it is the pink crab apple. That could be Rudolph, I'm not too sure. I didn't plant it. So there you go, that's how the plot is looking at the end of April 2022. It will soon be time to plant lots of things in the ground. I'm just stood next to the apple tree. I'm just enjoying watching all the bees buzz around those flowers and enjoy the fragrance. as the sun starts to set. But thank you very much for joining me on the April allotment tour. There's going to be so much going on in the next few weeks. It's going to keep me really busy with pricking out, sowing more seeds, planting out and potting on. So yeah, I will see you real soon for the next one. Take care and bye bye.